I want you to imagine for a moment that the Australian government was really evil and really racist. I want you to imagine that they hated the Indigenous Aboriginal people of Australia and wanted to disenfranchise them entirely. In order to do this, they implemented a campaign designed to destroy Aboriginal pride in their own people. Having the resources of government, they would be able to construct a sophisticated psychological attack on Aboriginal identity. Being in control of the nation's schools, they could begin this process on the young and impressionable minds of Aboriginal children. The billion-a-year Australian Broadcasting Corporation could bolster this conditioning with incessant anti-Aboriginal propaganda. Narratives could be crafted to make Aboriginals feel guilty for everything that their people have done or haven't done throughout history. They could criticise Aboriginals incessantly without ever comparing them to other people or suggesting what they might have done differently. Imagine if they blamed Aboriginal children because their ancestors had invaded and colonised this continent and wiped out the megafauna which actually existed and thrived before the Aboriginals arrived and began burning down the forests.
How dare you!
They might blame Aboriginals today for the constant wars and misogyny which were rumoured to have existed before the British arrived. If these things didn't really happen, they could encourage state-funded universities to fabricate fake histories, which cast the ancestors of Aboriginal people as uniquely evil. A really sophisticated and immoral government could offer Aboriginal people a way out of this collective guilt. They could be encouraged to join in the attacks on their own people and in return be partially excused for these alleged sins. Desperate Aboriginal people might feel incentivised to fabricate white ancestors and claim therefore to be a proud London man or a proud Liverpool woman, leaving behind the shame of Aboriginality through praising their real or imagined Anglo identity. How sad would that be? You can imagine that if such a programme were in place, that any Aboriginal who expressed pride in his people or tried to advocate for or defend them would be attacked and smeared as fascists or black nationalists by government proxies in the media, in universities, and especially by faux white Aboriginals desperate to virtue signal their anti-Aboriginal credentials and assuage their feelings of guilt and shame, which had been implanted by decades of carefully crafted propaganda. Maybe a racist fanatic in a university somewhere would create a fake classification of Aboriginalness, which they would then define as a malignant parasitic-like condition to which Aboriginal people have a particular susceptibility. Maybe such an extreme racist opinion would be taken seriously and spread through schools and the corporate world. Perhaps corporations and government departments would force their employees to attend sessions designed to indoctrinate them to be less Aboriginal and to make them aware of the evils of Aboriginality. Could the Australian government be so evil as to run such a racist campaign against the Aboriginal people and then accuse the Aboriginals themselves of racism? Sadly, we don't have to imagine this situation. It's happening right now in Australia, only it isn't happening to Aboriginal people. All of those appalling things and more are happening to whites, and particularly the Anglo-Celtic people who created the nation of Australia. If it was happening to any other group, then well-funded and supported ethnic or religious lobbies would spring into action and denounce those responsible. There would be purges of people who had supported the programme, and they would lose jobs, reputations, and possibly their freedom. We can only presume that the people driving this are evil racists who hate white European Christians and our history and culture with a passion. They seem to covet what we have and to be intent on guilt-tripping us into giving up the nations which we should be bequeathing to our children and to their children. They have been able to get away with this because until now there hasn't been many who understood what was happening and was able to effectively educate and defend white European Australians and our culture and heritage. The British Australian community can do this, but only if our people have the courage and commitment to get on board. If you join, our membership fee works out at 50 cents a week. Can you afford not to?